What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 7 of my review of Warren Hills Cancun Jazz Festival. My name is Fitz, your personal tour guide, here to make sure that you enjoy your trip to the fullest. In this episode, I continue my story on what happened when my wife and I showed up an hour early to the Toro Steakhouse at the Hard Rock Riviera Maya. Let's go. Before I jump into today's review, I want to address a question that I've gotten a couple times, but I don't think I've said anything about it on one of these videos. And that is, are we attending any of the festivals this year? Well, the answer is we're undecided, and if we do, it will probably be in October. Only because that just fits our schedule better, not because of anything else. Now, part of why we're undecided is, of course, the pandemic that we're in the middle of. Things appear to be getting a little bit better. Numbers are starting to come down. You have more people being vaccinated and all that stuff's going on, but we're still not really sure, not really comfortable yet. So we're waiting to see how things go before we make a final decision. And leave me a comment below. Let me know, does the pandemic play a big part, small part, no part in your decision? Because I know that some of you have said that you are attending this year. Some have said, well, we're kind of just waiting like we are, kind of on the fence. And some says, well, hey, we're probably going to wait till next year. What are your thoughts? Do me a favor and drop me a comment down below. So today's video is a continuation. So if you haven't seen episode 6, I recommend you go watch that first and then come back so that you won't be lost. Because where we left off is that we showed up at the Toro Steakhouse at 6:30. We had a 7:30 reservation. Brian Culberson's show started at 7:30, and I didn't want to miss 1 second. So my wife had an idea. She said, hey, let's just show up there early and see if we can get seated. That's what we did. And they did put us on a list. And so we waited about 10, 15 minutes, and they came and got us, said they had a seat available. Now, the restaurant was crowded. So as we're walking through the restaurant, I'm trying to find out where we're seated because I didn't see any open tables. And so they walk us all the way through the restaurant, and then we go outside because that's where they seated us, was out on the patio. So the Toro Steakhouse has an outdoor patio area that faces the Gulf. So actually not a bad view because the restaurant is elevated up, so it's not like it's ground level and it's up 10, 15 feet or whatever it is. So not bad. And the weather was nice, so it wasn't chilly or really hot or humid, so it was kind of nice. It was overcast. And if you remember, this is the same night that Brian Culber's show actually got rained out. They seated us at a table for 2, right up against the rail. So it's the furthest point you can go is right up against the rail. And that area where we're seated, there was below us about a 5-foot drop off. So like a little concrete patio area down there. And so as we were waiting to order, we're looking at menus. I look down and I see 2 cats sitting right there. I'm like, oh man. I said, I already knew my wife's not going to like that because she's allergic to cats. And so she saw them and I saw them. So I'm looking at her, she's looking at me, we're looking at cats, looking at us. And I know that in her heart, she wanted to move. I just know she wanted to move, but she didn't say anything. So we stayed there because, hey, trying to get to see the show, right? So, but about 5 minutes later, it started to drizzle. We can feel a light rain because where we were seated wasn't totally covered. The overhang only came it covered about half of us. And so we had a side of us that was exposed to the weather. And if you're that close, if it's windy, you're going to feel some rain. So fortunately, it was before we ordered. So the lady came and she moved us to the interior. So far as you can go in the interior on the patio still, up against the window where the restaurant is. So great, totally covered, no problem there. They sat us and we're right next to a group of ladies, maybe about 8 or so ladies. So obviously for them, this was a girls' trip. And so they're having a good time laughing, and it was cool. And so we finally got our drinks and we ordered our food. And while we're waiting, I don't know where this thing came from. But one of the cats actually made its way up to the platform area where we were seated and hopped up on this flower bed. So running along the length of the building was a flower bed. And the cat hopped up on the flower bed behind one of the ladies at the table where the girls were where the ladies were. So the group of ladies, and it was right behind this lady. And I felt so bad for her because she felt so uncomfortable. She was constantly looking over her shoulder, trying to shoot a thing away, and it would just sat there. Now, you know what it was going to do. It was going to hop up on the table, try to take some food off your plate or what. And it sat there for a little bit, and I know this lady was like hot, get this cat away from me. And eventually, for whatever reason, the cat just took off running. But it ran the length of the flower bed, went behind me because my back was against the flower bed, and it scattered off and went somewhere we never saw it again. And so our dining experience was just, we were done after that. We were just ready to eat and just go. And I think part of what was the most disturbing is the staff seemed to be very nonchalant about the whole thing. They really didn't make much of an effort to kind of, shoot a cat away or to get it out of there. That part was kind of disappointing. They just, this is supposed to be their normal. These cats come around all the time, it's no big deal to us. But for the guests, you don't want to eat dinner with a cat lurking around that's obviously hungry and wants to get something to eat. So that was disappointing. But here's the one thing that's really a trip. So as we're getting up to go leave, we're headed to the Woodstock stage, which is a short walk. It's only like 2 or 3 minutes from the Toro Steakhouse. But as we're leaving, to my left, I see something move, and it was a raccoon, probably about 10 or so feet away to my left. Obviously, it's looking for something to eat, and I'm so glad my wife didn't see it because we were heading to the right. The raccoon was over to the left over there, so she didn't see it. So I just grabbed her hand and kept on walking like, hey, let's go see Brian Culbertson show. And when we get to the Woodstock stage, I tell her, I said, by the way, you didn't see it, but there was a raccoon right there by the restaurant where we just left. And she was like, what? So, and if you notice, I haven't said anything about the food because I don't even remember what I had, because all of the other extracurricular activity with the critters rolling around kind of was what stands out. I'm assuming the food tasted okay, because if it had been bad, I would have known it and I would have told you guys. So I'm assuming the food was fine. I don't know what I had, probably steak and mashed potatoes or something like that. But I'm assuming it was okay. And I think we would have had a better experience if we would have been indoors instead of sitting outside. So I would go back. Now, we didn't go back this trip, but the next time we go back to the Hard Rock, go to the Cancun Jazz Festival, I would definitely go back. I don't know if my wife would or not, but we just will not sit outside, not especially at night, because these, particularly the raccoons, are nocturnal, so they come out at night, on the hunt for something to eat. But I think we've enjoyed it. But the one thing I did like about sitting outside was it was quiet. You can hear the ocean, the waves coming off the ocean. It was a nice night, a little bit of a breeze. Unfortunately, it did, some rain in the forecast or in the area, but it was a nice quiet because inside the restaurant, it was crowded and really noisy. But so the next time we go, definitely going to be seated inside. So that was our Thursday dining experience. So the next night on Friday, we decide to go Asian. We both love Asian food. They have one of those Asian restaurants that has the hibachi style seating area. And so we're looking forward to go eat at the Asian restaurant. But now here's the first time we had a problem with the food. And I'll tell you about that in the next video. Well, this is Fitz That's all I have for you today. I hope these have been helpful. I'm trying to let you guys know what our experience was like. Now, once again, this is our experience, but I hope you find some nuggets in here that'll help you enjoy your trip. Well, this is Fitz. Do me a favor, hit me the like button. Also, if you want to, go ahead and hit subscribe and notifications bell as well. And if you have any comments or questions, drop me a line down below. Well, I hope you guys are doing okay, and I will see you in the next video.